today's video. We have a special guest with us today for the local music and arts section. This is Rainbow Star, and she is a singer-songwriter and all-around artist and creative person who lives in Berea. And I just thought we'd have her in and interview her for the class stuff. You all can tell that I am spinning my wheels as I find my file. There it is. All right, so let's jump in. Hello. First of all, nice to see you and have you on the screen today for the class. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for inviting me, Leif. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It has. Class, I first met Rainbow Star on a radio show I co-host. She came on and did some songs for us and blew me away because they're so creative and interesting. And I'll just say that and let her talk about her work for herself beyond that. But I'm very excited that you've agreed to join us today. So I'm curious, what creative stuff are you working on these days? Like, what are your latest projects?
Yeah, so thanks for asking. I'm currently working on a feminist folk punk EP called Holler Ghosts, which I have recorded all on the phone that I'm using Microsoft Teams for right now. So anyone out there who I always like to encourage people, if you feel like you can't play music, pick up a dulcimer or a ukulele. Dulcimer's easier. Guitar, don't start there, too hard. If you feel like you don't have the equipment, fuck it, just use your phone. Like voice recording app that came with my phone. I use Audacity. It's free. I hate computers. I figured it out. So you can do it if you want. And so, yeah, it's a highly offensive, apparently very vulnerable feminist record. I don't know that anyone will see it if y'all don't go check it out because it gets banned so frequently. It's insane. And actually just noticing like this past week how, side note, social media ramping up their efforts of muting the voices of, Indigenous activists for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Like, I'm just noticing like increasing volumes in the past week of just like, you can't say men on the internet because men rule the internet and men are like, no, we don't like that. Shut up, women.
Right. Shut it down. Right. I'll go ahead and apologize for my gender, everybody. Yeah. What do you? Yeah. Hopefully we can get better. Sometimes in this class, we discuss the notion that every time we partake of anything artistic, a totally new event, a new work of art, essentially, is created because we're a different person every time we encounter a piece of art. So we mix with it differently. We're not neutral, blank observers, but rather active, dynamic participants, since we bring an ever-changing set of assumptions and values and experiences, as well as race, gender, religion, home life, etc., with us each time we approach the art. So we haven't talked much about this event from the artist's perspective, like from your perspective. I know you partake of art too, but as far as the creator of art, since this class primarily focuses on analysis and understanding of art rather than the creation of it. But when you create your music and lyrics or any other art you do, to what degree do you anticipate the assumptions, values, beliefs, or experiences of your listeners? And do you anticipate ways in which your own assumptions, values, beliefs, and experiences may align with and or clash with theirs? And I think you've already mentioned some of the answers to this. Or is your process more inwardly focused? If you can make a distinction, is that a false distinction? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, very thoughtful question. So to what extent do I anticipate how people are going to do it and then like take that into consideration and like allow that to alter what I'm doing? Like zero, because I have always said I don't feel like I write my songs. They feel 100% channeled. Have everything that creative that I've done that has been good since I was 7 has felt like it comes from fairy muses. That's the name that I gave it when I was 7. Fairy muses come out of the forest and like whisper these little things to me, and I'm not even pulling your leg here. This is legit how it feels. So oftentimes I will write a song, particularly on my last record, would write a song and be like, that was a fucking weird song. I like it, but it's so weird. What the hell does it even mean? And then, years later, just be like doing some kind of beta wave activity and realize, oh shit, that's what that song means. Like, I think that's what it means. So strange. So I personally have found that if I try to anticipate, make it for someone else, I don't connect to what for me is like a higher consciousness level. and then I get like into being self-conscious and that sort of thing, and judging myself, and um, that doesn't work. That turns out like really nothing I would want to show anyone. So,
Right. Too self-conscious. So you just have what you have to say from wherever it comes from, and let it fall where it may, kind of
yeah,
thing.
and
Okay.
people get pissed off about it. And I'm like, blame my fairy muses. Apparently they hate men. I'm like, I'm sorry. Apparently my fairy muses have been very wounded by men. Like, not my fault.
Right. You just got to speak what they tell you. I understand. Now, do you find yourself coming back to a certain theme or themes in your music? Obviously, we've talked about one, with men and the patriarchy and stuff. Or if so, would you say you tend to focus on these themes consciously? I guess we kind of just answered that, didn't we? Well, why don't we move to the next one then, folks? This
No,
is what
no,
it's like.
I have an answer for you.
Oh, well, please.
Also,
I'm sorry. Jump right in.
yeah. So death, for sure, is something I'm frequently finding myself returning to. Contemplating our mortality. When I started writing my last album is about, and there's so many songs on that record that talk about death and how cool I am with it. Like, it's fine, it'll be fine, don't worry about me. I'll be floating in the ether. And then I watched my mom die from cancer, and last year, and then I like whole new perspective on it. Like, oh, actually, no, that's horrible. I don't want that to happen to me. Can I please just not die? I
Right.
don't want
Yeah.
that to happen to me. So, trigger like excessive anxiety, and that's kind of like where I'm at now, is like contemplating just how much, like, how scary a thing it is. And I think, to like motion to a later question that I know that you might ask me. I think that part of
Mhm.
being human is like this awareness of our mortality also. And I don't know. I don't know, because I don't speak the language of a lot of animals, but I don't see them running around being like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna die someday. Like, what's
Right.
gonna happen?" They just kind of live their life, and
Yeah.
we seem to get so caught up in like not being in the present moment. That's a differentiation between us and like animals, non-human animals. That we It's hard for us to be present, I think, and part of that has to do with like the fear of, like, am I leaving a legacy? Like, what's going to happen to people I love when I'm gone? That sort of
Mhm.
thing. Am I doing what I should do, while I'm here?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Number four. Let's see. Can you tell us about your process as an artist? Like your actual physical, what happens, besides the
Yeah.
creativity?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of times, like particularly my last record, a lot of those songs were very channeled. So I would feel the song coming in the way that you do. Uh, be that what it may, and grab my phone, grab my instrument, hit record, boom, there's the whole song would come out. I call it a sneeze song. So I would just like sneeze and there's the whole thing. And that's what went on my record. Because I would find that later I would like drive around town in my car listening to it on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, like a crazy person, and trying to discern like every little nuance and to replicate it, and then realizing that I couldn't. Like, that moment of it arriving was so perfect, like the timing was so perfect. I couldn't be replicated. So I just used those original recordings and their own imperfections, and found that that was like more beautiful than anything I could try to remake in a later moment that wasn't like fully present like I was before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're let's say Sparkle Palace. That's what you call your enclave there.
The Rainbow Sparkle Palace,
Yeah,
indeed.
right. And so that I get the impression that your location, your physical location, has a lot to do with your process too. Would you say that's accurate, or?
Yeah, I mean, so like the last record included a lot of the bird song, like what you're hearing right now. Yeah, there's somebody who wanted to come join the party this morning.
I love
uh,
it.
yeah, and I live in the woods by myself. Like, I'm looking around, all I see are trees. There's no people. Like, if I scream, no one can come. Like, no one comes. No one even calls the police. They're just like, oh, there's Rainbow over there doing who knows the hell what she's doing. And so there's a lot of isolation that comes, and with that comes like the quiet that I think allows for art to be created. And there's a lot of simplicity too. My house can go from a wreck to perfectly fine in 10 minutes max. And Yeah, it's just a simple place to create from. There's everything I need. I mean, you hear about artists all the time going into the woods and to write music in a little cabin, or write
Yeah.
whatever they do it in a little cabin. Like, this is my home. So
Yeah.
I'm
So you're actually doing the thing.
very grateful. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I just saw the shadow of a would-be maybe back there, a big bumblebee. Look at that. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I mean, as you were talking, there's like a bee flying around. I love it.
He's headed to the outhouse to chew through the walls. While I'm in the
Right.
outhouse, I just hear them like chewing through everything.
Oh,
It's fine.
all right.
Fine. I don't care.
All right. They're friends. Why not? So Flannery O'Connor once said, and you said you're a fan of Flannery O'Connor. I certainly am too. I've taught some of her stories for years. Just an amazing writer.
So morbid. I love her.
Yes, very morbid, very morbid. That's a good way to put it.
Right in the gut.
Yes. And she said, when you can assume that your audience holds the same beliefs you do, you can relax a little and use more normal ways of talking to it. When you have to assume that it does not, then you have to make your vision apparent by shock. To the hard of hearing, you shout, and for the almost blind, you draw large and startling figures. So, do you see the potential for art or music or any of the stuff that you do to play such a role in society? Do you ever hope your music will serve such a similar purpose as getting through? If so, what vision are you trying to make apparent, and to whom?
Hell yes, music is so powerful for being at the forefront of movements to create whatever change it is that you have to make. I mean, absolutely. um would I love for my music to go viral in a way that was safe for me? Yes, because I've seen how women have told me that they've been liberated by my songs. But I've friends of mine have told me about the double takes of that. They go like, did she just say that out loud? Like, that thing I've been thinking and like stewing over and being so angry about, that this certain injustice, and like, did she just say that out loud? Yes, I did, because for me, silence is, and the silencing of women and minorities, so-called minorities, is one of the greatest tools of the patriarchy. And so for me, like, bucking taboos, to me, a lot of taboos are just created by the patriarchy. It's another way to add like layers of guilt and shame to keep you silent. And to me, that disempowers me, and I don't like feeling disempowered. so,
Yeah.
so I use my privilege as a white woman to say whatever I want to say, and so far I've remained safe doing it. Probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that not a lot of people are hearing this music because it's getting banned a lot. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because I mean, I'm not joking when I tell you that I do worry for my safety with this upcoming album, because yeah, it's violent. It's violent.
Well, I hear you, and of course,
Fucking around.
violence. I I hear you, and I've heard some of the tracks, and I know you're not fucking around. But that violence toward women is so prevalent in our society. I would like my students to understand she's being literal. That when you say certain things that criticize or aim at taking down the patriarchy, it can, right? I don't want to speak for you, but that's what you're saying. This could lead to physical harm for you if certain people get a hold of these ideas and words.
Yeah, the trolls are all up in my YouTube comment section. I only get comments from trolls, to which I'm like, thank you for letting the algorithms know the importance of this message. Have a great day.
Well, I remember, like I said, we had you on the radio show, and you sang a song that said, "I love to interrupt a man," and I just was like, I should probably be offended, but the reason I'm not is because what you're pointing out in a humorous way it was a hilarious song, but I was like, men do interrupt a lot. It is like something that is given to me as a white male in our society, that what I have to say is very important. And even though everybody else is great, I'm doing a service to humanity by jumping. And so men do tend to interrupt. And so it'd be easy for me to say I'm not one of those, but instead I listened and was like, okay, that kind of hits a spot. The reason it hits a spot in me is because I know that I do it, and it is something I constantly work on. But I find myself doing it sometimes, even though I don't intend to, because it's so ingrained. And that's, of course, what students is meant by systemic. It's so part of the system and what's happening that you don't even notice it. So to me, I can speak to that if I may, then say, yeah, man, like you that's an example of it hitting me in that way that made me wake up and go, wait a second, why do I feel a little funny about this? Because it hit the target, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you for those insights and answers. Speaking of themes and such, have you ever been surprised by later discovering, and I think you did refer to this earlier actually, discovering multiple meanings or interpretations or layers of something you wrote, which at the time seemed pretty straightforward and simple?
I don't know about straightforward and simple in the beginning, but there was a song called Bottles. It's super dark about my tragic ass experience in in Egypt. Tried to go see the pyramids, and it turned into an absolute disaster, and I didn't get to. And anyway, so
Mm,
like had no idea why this lyric was "Tonight I dreamt of bottles," and I'm like, and it I don't know. Anyway, later learned that it was because obviously like I bottled up all the all the shit that
huh,
was this horrendous experience and like wouldn't talk about it, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think of Flannery O'Connor again, who referred to her story "Good Country People." I don't know if you've read that one, but it's about the woman who has the wooden leg and the con man steals it from her. And
mm,
she said that to her the wooden leg was just a wooden leg when she wrote it, which is pretty profound in itself. But that she came to understand as she wrote the story that the leg represented her soul. And so
mm.
she didn't set out to make symbolism, but there was definitely symbolism there. I do love the brain's power of subconscious and all that. It's
Yes,
endlessly fascinating. So
fascinating.
so you bottled it up, so you had the bottle image. I mean, I just love the brain. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Um, what do you consider to be your greatest challenge as an artist or musician in this place and time you find yourself?
The fact that men rule the internet.
Hmm.
Period. Period. I I would love to see women of all colors in all positions of power. Um, because hello, utopia, problem solved, problem solved. Because y'all been in all the positions for almost all the time, and look where we've been, where we be right now. Yeah, that is absolutely my greatest difficulty right now because like I was studying how to make a living as a digital artist for 3 years, specifically only using Facebook ads. And then Patriarchy Song started coming out and they started banning all my shit. And it's still to this day, like if I post like a picture of something, I'll get a lot of likes. If I post my music, they will show it to next to no one. I'm
Hmm.
talking like less than 10 people even get to see my shit. So I really appreciate you, Leaf, for your support and the way that you allow my voice to get out there because
Yeah,
they keep doing it, Leaf, because it works. It
yeah,
works.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried to share some of your stuff before, and I noticed like nobody seems to connect with it, and I guess that's why they just don't let people see it. So
Yep.
this is very real. Yeah, I mean, very frustrating. I mean, for me to witness it, I can't imagine even what it must feel like to have to suffer through all that. Do we talk a lot about irony in this course? Do you ever find that your music contains elements of irony or satire? And if so, can you give an example or two? And what is being satirized, and what is the nature of the irony?
Mm. Like just about every song, I tend to be pretty sarcastic. Um, well, specifically like Woman's Playing, the song you're talking about. I really like to interrupt a man every chance I can. It is so exciting. I really like to interrupt a man every chance I can. It's very satisfying. I really like to show him who's boss, who brought you into the world, who'll take you out of it faster than you can say white supremacy, patriarchy. Keep your insert whatever the fuck it is, keep all of it off of me. Um, and then my songs talking about, I'm gonna kill all the men today. I'm not actually gonna kill all of you, so just like calm down. You're not all gonna die.
Thank you. I
but,
appreciate that.
but like, it is infuriating. It's infuriating what we go through and to watch what other women in countries that are even more oppressed than we are here go through. So yeah, a lot of my tongue in cheek involves violence. I think a lot of it, to the chagrin of many a male listener.
which
Historically
is
speaking.
Which is also ironic because of how easily you can see violence against females, see it, not just hear lyrics about it, all over the internet at any time, day or night. Violence against women is completely prevalent and accepted. And so you say one thing about violence against men, ironically, in a satire, clearly satirically, but also serious. But still, and you get banned. It's just like folks to not see how this is messed up. I don't know. You can't. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be intentionally not seeing it, I think, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry you have to experience that. And I do hope that we get some more people interested in your music, and they can spread it by word of mouth in spite of the algorithms.
Yeah, I do tend to believe that things are generally, always working out for us and moving in a positive direction. Whether that's true or not is impossible to prove, but I find that I make better decisions when I choose to believe that.
Yeah,
So, there's the proof.
Um, I'm just curious, like, what would you? Some of the people in the class might be aspiring musicians or artists themselves who have things they want to say that come from wherever they come from. What advice would you give them? That's a kind of out of left field. I didn't send you that one ahead of time. I'm just curious, like, if you could give them advice, what would you
Yeah.
say?
Let me just reiterate: get yourself an Appalachian Mountain dulcimer. If you're not into that sort of thing, just try it out. If you're super not into it, okay, try a ukulele. For more strings, a little more, okay, significantly more difficult, but you can do it. Okay, YouTube videos, you got this. Use your phone, and listen to podcasts about how to get your music out there. And the more you search it, like Google will just start throwing, the universe of Google will start throwing like all these gurus at you, and that's what I did. I just took a bunch of courses, and none of them of course factored in the fact that my music would be so offensive, but but if you don't have a bunch of horse shit to say according to the patriarchy, you'll probably make it, especially if you're a white dude. You got this, don't worry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was
but
hoping.
but if you're
Yeah.
not
Go ahead.
if you're not, holler at me. Also, I always put this out to my fans, like, holler at me at Rainbow Star Music on Instagram, rainbowstarmusic.com. Like, I am here to cheerlead and, like, let anybody know how I've done what I've done, because for years I had a duo when I was in college at UK, and we like played on RFL and a couple shows, blah blah blah. And then I came to like decide that I was not a good enough guitarist and I should quit. So I didn't make music for 13 years. I did not songwrite for 13 years. And then, I found the Appalachian Mountain Dulcimer, which is a million times easier than a guitar. And like, look what I'm like putting out my third record right now. So you can do it.
Cool. Just get in there and give it a shot, right? Just
Yep. And holler at me
do
if you
it.
need a cheerleader.
All right, thank you for that. We talk a lot about what we call the course question in here, which is basically what does it mean to be human? Since it's a humanities course, I figured let's make it as straightforward as possible. Although the question itself not so straightforward. Um, if you could use only a single sentence or two, and we won't hold you to it because this is something that's like hard to do, obviously, in a sentence or two. But I'm just curious, like if you had to boil it down, what does it mean to be human to you?
God.
By the way, while you're thinking, and then if you could think of a song or two or a lyric or something of yours that illustrate what you're saying. This is a lot to throw at you. It's a tough one, but
so specifically, if we're gonna use, there's so many ways to answer this question. So specifically,
sure.
if we're gonna talk about using one of my songs, I'll just talk about the vulnerabilities, and like the questioning and the like existential crises of being a human. The song "Didn't Nobody Come" talks about loneliness, codependence, death, everyone's favorite evening topics.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I would say there's like, I want to say also vulnerability, but also to me, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that we talk about, being human, meaning having a heart and like being compassionate. I don't think everyone has, obviously everyone does not have the capacity to do that mentally or whatever. But yeah, if I have to choose a song, I'll be thinking specifically about being vulnerable,
Yeah.
with
Okay.
yourself and other people.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you for that. And what are ways in which people can experience your music? You know, you say it gets shut down a lot on social media. Where should they go to purchase or listen to otherwise, if it's
Yep.
available?
So actually, I have a podcast, Musings from the Rainbow Sparkle Palace. It's on all the platforms, all of them. RainbowStarMusic.com is my website. I'm on Insta. I'm on TikTok. Although I barely do anything on TikTok. I mostly just post a bunch of videos of myself dancing. And then Facebook, of course, at Rainbow Star Music, and then Patreon, which Leif is a wonderful patron. So grateful for you. Patreon.com/Rainbow Star Music if you want to support the music. So yeah.
All right. And do you have anything you'd like to ask or add to this?
What do you think it means to be human, Leif?
Oh no, she turned it
one
around.
Or two sentences here. One or two sentences only.
Dang it! Hoist with my own petard. Let's see. I would say that. Yeah, that's a tough one. Obviously, I would say compassion, empathy, like that. I believe that how we treat each other is the only thing that actually has any connection to any universal truth, and I can't prove that, but it's what I believe.
Beautiful.
That's what I would say.
Nice.
I think it's a lifelong learning situation for all of us. Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Well, awesome indeed. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciate this. Has been an awesome interview. I can't wait to give it to the class, and hopefully you'll hear from some people.
Great, thank you. And I would love if you can share it with me too, because I'll share it on
Absolutely.
social media and everything. That's awesome. Well, I hope you have a great day.
Thank
and
you.
a great weekend, Leif.
Yeah, you too.